28 of The Beast of Buckingham Palace by David Walliams, narrated by me. Chapter 28, Sickness of the Mind. Lionheart? Asked the voice from above. Alfred wanted to be strong, but it was impossible. Immediately he burst into floods of tears. Boo-hoo-hoo! Shush! Shushed the Queen through the hole in the ceiling of the cell. The guards will hear you. I can't help it, snorted Alfred. Don't be sad, she whispered. I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm happy. Happy? Happy to see you. Now you're going to make me cry, replied the boy's mother. Here. The Queen pushed a lace handkerchief down through the hole. Alfred took it and dried his eyes. Then he blew his nose. Who? He studied the handkerchief for a moment and read the letters sewn into a corner. V.R. Victoria Regina. That's Queen Victoria. So this handkerchief is hundreds of years old. Yep, I shouldn't really be letting you snot into it. Sorry, do you want it back? That's awfully kind of you, but no. What should I do with it? Pop it up your sleeve. The boy did as he was told and pushed it into the sleeve of his pyjamas. The handkerchief felt all soggy next to his skin. For a moment he wondered why grown-ups would ever do that. Mama, how I wish I could have one of your special cuddles right now. How I wish I could give you a special cuddle. I would give you all my past and all my future to hold you in my arms right now. You're going to make me cry again, he sniffed. Alfred, let's have a finger cuddle. A finger cuddle? Yes! Here you go. With that, the Queen poked a finger down through the hole. Alfred stretched high onto the bucket and poked his finger up. They touched. It felt strange and strangely comforting all at once. Why have you been sent here? Asked the Queen. Father sent me. No! How could he do that to his own son? He's not well, Mama. You're right. There is an awful sickness in his mind. He would tell me about these terrifying nightmares. Night after night after night. Nightmares about some kind of fiery monster. They're not nightmares, Mama, replied Alfred. They're real. What on earth do you mean? You're not going to believe me, but I saw something in the palace during the night. Something truly horrifying. What? The king was there. What was he doing? It looked like he was sleepwalking. Sleepwalking? Yes, into this, well, I can't say exactly. Ritual? Ritual? Was it just your father? No, the Lord Protector was there. Of course, I should have guessed he would be behind it, exclaimed Mother. Yes, he was using some dark arts. The Lord Protector was... He was what? The boy felt strange saying it, but he knew what he'd seen. Conjuring a ritual? Was it just your father? No, the Lord Protector was there. Of course, I should have guessed he would be behind it, exclaimed Mother. Yes, using some dark arts. The Lord Protector, he was what? The boy felt strange saying it, but he knew what he'd seen. Conjuring a creature to life. What kind of creature? A creature made of fire. A griffin. A griffin, pondered his mother. The symbol of divine power, dating back thousands of years. Are you sure you weren't just reading one of your old books and then having a nightmare? No, replied Alfred calmly. This was real. Then this griffin must give the Lord Protector power over the king. The visions must have scared him half to death. Poor man. But it isn't just a vision, Mama, and if we don't stop it, this beast will kill us all. Chapter 29. Deception. Just then, a bell tolled across London. Bong! It was the unmistakable sound of Big Ben. Count! Hissed the Queen through the hole in her floor and Alfred's ceiling. Alfred listened as the bongs continued. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, he whispered. Not tonight, then, said his mother. What isn't tonight? He asked, intrigued. We have to listen out for 13 bongs. 13? Why would there be 13? He asked Alfred. Not unreasonably. That's the signal. For what? Revolution! The boy couldn't believe his ears. The Queen was a traitor after all. So you are a revolutionary, spluttered Alfred. Yes, she replied calmly. But destroying St. Paul's Cathedral? How could you? That wasn't me, protested the Queen. I don't understand. Please, you must believe me. I would never, ever do such a thing, and neither would the revolutionaries. How could you be so sure? There's no reason for them to attack their own city. All they want, and I want, all the people of this country want, is an end to this evil rule. But if you or the other revolutionaries didn't destroy St. Paul's Cathedral, then who did? The Lord Protector, she replied coolly. But why would he do that? Asked Alfred. It doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. To destroy St. Paul's Cathedral. No one would ever suspect the Lord Protector of doing that himself. Instead, he could put the blame on the revolutionaries, on me. Frame us as the evil ones, and not him. And with me locked up here in the tower, the Lord Protector has free reign over the palace, so he could carry out his wicked plans. He's an evil dictator, and he must be stopped. Alfred, will you help us? Before the boy could answer, he heard the sound of bootsteps approaching. Stomp! 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 Guards! He hissed. Go, go, go! Implored Mother. So he jumped down from the bucket and leaped onto a pile of hay. Thud! There, he pretended to be asleep. Alfred even did his best snore, though, as far as he knew, he didn't snore in real life. The boy didn't dare open his eyes. He could hear the guard stop at his cell, and then move off. Stomp! 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 He opened his eyes again, and heard voices from his mother's cell above. How dare you barge in here like this? Said the Queen. Tell us where your friends, the revolutionaries, are hiding, demanded someone with a deep, gravelly voice. I don't know! Answer the question, he barked. I swear I don't know, she replied. Come on, let's not play games. I command you, as your queen, to release me from this god-forsaken place. Oh, the noise! The people! He must set me free at once and let me return to the palace. Orders of the king himself, came the barked reply. The king is not well enough to give orders. I know him better than anyone. Please. The man was having none of it. Orders of the king. All traitors are to be imprisoned in the tower. I am not a traitor. Oh, yes you are. And you know where the revolutionaries are hiding. Tell us, and we can wipe out the traitor scum once and for all. For the last time, I don't know, exclaimed the Queen. Then this calls for extreme measures, said the deep voice. Torture me again if you like. I still won't know anything. There was a long, low laugh. Oh no, we're not going to torture you. I have a much better idea about who we can make suffer. When you hear their screams, you'll be sure to tell us everything you know. Who? Demanded the Queen. Tell me who, you brute. Your son, of course. Chapter 30. The Executioner. Moments later, the boy was dragged, kicking and screaming from his cell by 2 royal guards. They hauled him to one of the turrets on top of the Tower of London. Thunderclouds rolled overhead as the wicked wind whipped through the sky. There, on the turret, was the Queen, squashed into a metal cage that was swinging in the air. Creak, creak, creak. The cage was something that had been around since medieval times. It was used for coughing torture. The cage was just big enough for the Queen's body, but not big enough for her to move. The expression on her face betrayed the agony she was in. "Mama!" cried Alfred upon seeing her. "Don't you dare hurt my son!" yelled the Queen at the guards. They threw the boy to his knees. He scrabbled up and raced over to his mother. He hurled himself at the cage, his little fingers poking through, desperate to comfort her. "Be strong, Lionheart," she whispered. "Be strong. We're going to get out of here alive, I promise you." Before the boy could reply, a giant of a man, his face hidden by a black hood, dragged him away. He was the executioner. "You are coming with me, little one," he said in his deep, rough voice. This was the same man who had been interrogating the Queen in her cell not long before. "No!" cried Alfred. But the executioner was so much stronger than him. Soon the boy was tied to a huge wooden wheel. Yet this wasn't just any wheel. This was a breaking wheel, another instrument of medieval torture. A giant wheel that revolved a person as their limbs were broken, one by one. Without a word, the executioner ensured that Alfred had been secured properly by yanking on the ropes of his ankles and wrists. "Ugh!" exclaimed the boy as his skin was burned by the ropes. However, the torture was yet to begin. "Revolve the wheel!" called out the executioner, and the royal guards did his bidding. Slowly, Alfred began turning on the wheel. He felt dizzy as he hung all the way upside down as the wheel revolved. He started to feel sick. "Now, your majestical majesty, tell us where the revolutionaries are hiding," began the executioner, "or your darling little boy will be crushed to death." "For the last time, I don't know what you're talking about," shouted the Queen. "I would tell you if I knew anything. I promise. But I don't. Put me on that thing if you must. Not him, I beg you. He's just a child." "I wonder if when one of your son's limbs is smashed to pieces, it might just jog your memory." "No, please," she pleaded. "I don't know anything, I swear." The executioner shook his head before holding aloft an iron hammer, ready to strike the boy and smash his bones into smithereens. Alfred shut his eyes tight. He couldn't bear to watch what was about to happen to him. "Stop!" called out the Queen. "I will tell you everything I know." "I knew you'd see sense," replied the executioner. "Now, untie my son, and I will talk." The executioner was not used to taking orders. The man bristled and paced over to the cage. "Where are the revolutionaries hiding?" he demanded. "I said, untie my son first," said the Queen sternly. Alfred was amazed that his mother could retain her composure at a time like this. The executioner nodded to her guards, who began loosening the ropes round the boy's wrists and ankles. "Don't tell them anything, Mama," pleaded Alfred. The Queen chose to ignore her son. She waited for him to be freed from the breaking wheel. The boy's eyes were streaming, and he was completely out of breath. He had to be helped up by one of the royal guards. "Your precious little prince is free," began the executioner. "Now, you tell me what you know. Right now." The man swung the head of the hammer into the palm of his hand. Thwack! A tiny bit too hard. He had hurt himself. "Ouch!" he said, no doubt wincing underneath the hood. "I'm waiting." Next, he dragged the end of the hammer slowly down the bars of the cage. Clunk, clank, clink. "Please, I'm a very busy man. I have a whole tower of prisoners to torture, and a list of executions as long as your arm." The Queen stared straight at Alfred and nodded her head. He struggled to understand what she meant. Without giving the game away, he furrowed his brow as if to ask, "What?" The Queen nodded her head again, tilting it to one side. This, the prince thought, must mean she wanted him to get the executioner's attention. "I will tell you where the revolutionaries are," announced Alfred. The executioner turned around. The Queen snarled. Her plan was working. "Will you now, you nasty little wretch?" asked the executioner, not sounding at all convinced. Or are you just playing games?" With all eyes on the prince, the queen was free to rock a cage to and fro. In a few swings, the cage was gathering momentum. Whoosh! Alfred did his best to let his face betray absolutely nothing at all, which was hard, as it wasn't every day that he saw his mother swinging round in what looked like a giant birdcage. "The revolutionaries have a number of secret bases across London," continued Alfred. "They hide in what used to be the underground stations." The executioner rolled his eyes. "That is old information, and you well know it. The rats were driven out the sewers years ago." Now the cage was swinging violently, so violently, in fact, that it was very nearly reaching the executioner. "Executioner!" called out the queen. He turned round. "What?" Only to be whacked in the head by the cage. Clunk! Oof! He toppled over and fell off the top of the tower. Ugh! Plunging into the river below. Splush! "I can't swim!" he cried. That's the end of these chapters, folks. If you enjoyed, please do not forget to hit that like button. Stay safe. Bye.